Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me today. My name's Eric Peters, and I work on a small but mighty little piece of the HubSpot platform called HubSpot Academy. And I'm going to start out with a little bit of a risk. Do we have any HubSpot users in the room by any chance? Nice. Okay, so this has to be accurate. Got it. So what I really want to know, are there any English-speaking EMEA here? Friendly bunch, typically hard to get in touch with during the summer. Actually, I think what I really need to know is any activated high-intent users ready to go from freemium to premium. Hopefully no sign up and disengaged. Didn't even give us a chance. Just signed up. I think they're bots. My intention for this presentation is to help you inject some humanity back into your product-led growth strategy. Why do we talk about our users as if we're running a military sting operation on them? I want to tell you guys some ways that we can bring some humanity back in, because that has been a really important part of the DNA of our growth team at HubSpot Academy. So this is my first time in London, amazing city. And it's funny, my colleagues and my peers, they all had these interesting things to say about London. They were like, it has 8 million people. It's almost as big as New York City. Or you have to go get tea here. Or you got to go get Indian food here. Or you can't say awesome too many times in your presentation. And that built up this perception of London in my mind. I had not experienced it for myself, so that was my reality. And that's true for your products as well. The perception that your prospects have for your product is their reality. And how do you influence that perception? London doesn't have a sales team to call me and say, it's going to be great. Big Ben is under construction, but everything else works. The Christmas time is the best time to be in London, right? Same with your product. You don't have the ability to influence their perception. Well, actually you do. And you can do that through your customers. HubSpot has bet its business on a flywheel model. We used to use a funnel where you attract demand in, you convert it into customers, and then that was kind of it. But with the flywheel model, you take into account the power of your customers. The fact that they're your biggest, loudest marketing team, the fact that they're your most helpful support reps, and the fact that they're your most efficient and consultative sales team. And that's really powerful. So we attract people in, we engage them, and we delight them. And if you can delight them, if you can exceed their expectation, you can make them promoters. It's in our human nature when we find something that we really like and it's exceeded our expectation to kind of brag about it, right? Like it makes you feel smart to go tell other people that you found this cool thing. And so that's powerful. Now there's something you need to know about HubSpot that is key to the sort of invention of HubSpot Academy. And that's that it serves very specifically small and medium-sized businesses. It is marketing, sales, and customer service software for small and medium-sized businesses. So like 20 to 200 people are in our target. More recently, it's more like 20 to 1,000 people, but at the time of founding of HubSpot Academy, it was smaller. And it was specifically marketing software. And what we found was that with marketing software, you can't just teach them how to use the software. We couldn't just create content to teach our customers how to use our software. We needed to teach them how to be really good at marketing as well. Because if you take a bad marketer and give them marketing automation software, it's a productivity tool at the end of the day. It's going to just make them worse faster, right? So we need to teach them how to be good at marketing, good at their jobs. And that is sort of how HubSpot Academy started. So it started back in 2012 as a one-to-many customer enablement and partner enablement channel. We had basically like on-demand webinars to teach our customers how to use the software and how to be good at marketing. In 2013, we released the first inbound certification. This course taught nothing about the software. It was purely like a very modern digital marketing course. It wasn't the best SEO course. It wasn't the best content marketing course out there, but it was definitely the best at bringing them all together into one holistic strategy that we called the inbound methodology. The cool thing is that the inbound methodology lines up perfectly with our software. So if you learned the inbound methodology, the best way to apply the inbound methodology was with HubSpot. That was the strategy. And something interesting happened. We had people kind of sneak into those. That course was really for our customers and partners. It was a 4-hour course with an exam at the end of it. We didn't really expect anyone other than our customers and partners to feel any motivation to take it, but they snuck in. And we were generally okay with that because the course teaches that you should create valuable content, give it away for free in order to attract people to your business. So it was basically doing what we said it was supposed to be doing anyway. The cool thing was, though, that when our salespeople started talking to those people, the prospects, the non-customers, non-partners, they had really good conversations. They had just taken a 4-hour course on the inbound methodology, and our salespeople were like, wait, I usually spend the first 20 minutes of my call teaching these people what inbound methodology is. And they're coming to the door knocking saying, hey, I just learned this whole thing. I really want software to apply it. I really want software to help me reach the goals that inbound can achieve for me. So we decided to open it up to everyone. We said, that's what it is. We might as well open it up. Academy became an acquisition channel. I joined the team in 2015 to really focus on HubSpot Academy as an acquisition channel. At the time, and still, the online course market is growing really fast. And there's a $25 billion market there in online courses. Coursera, for instance, gets 16,000 signups a day. So there's demand for self-service education in online courses. And then we got really sophisticated about what content we use to help our customers versus what content we use to acquire new users. And we built HubSpot Academy into the HubSpot product as a learning management system. So if you've ever taken an online course, you generally have a feel for what HubSpot Academy looks like. So the next few slides are 5 lessons I've learned over the last 4 years of building out HubSpot Academy as an acquisition channel. We've gone from about 1,000 signups, went back when it was really just for customers per month, to now 30,000 signups per month. And we did that by focusing on bringing humanity and knowing that there are people behind those line graphs and bar charts that we look at every day. There are humans with rich, complex lives, every bit as rich and complex as ours. So the first lesson is empathy. I know what you're thinking, kind of fluffy. When I say empathy, I don't necessarily mean know the pain points that your software solves, right? This isn't user-specific pains. This is know your persona, your target persona, like a friend. Be able to know what jokes they would laugh at the dinner table. Know what kind of car they might drive or how they get to work. Know how many kids they might have. Your product is a tiny little percentage of their life. And so if you can figure out the rest of their life, you have a much better time of contextualizing your product to them. So when I started at HubSpot, I was a data monkey. I was like, I can find out everything I need to know about these users from pivot tables, behavioral analytics, and that's it. And what I would get is this kind of top-down view, right? You can see the traffic congestion in the streets. You can see, where there's friction, for sure. But you can't see that this person just joined the company and is learning 20 pieces of software along with this one and can't even remember which username they need to sign in with. You don't know that this person needs a vacation and they're just, ready to, sign up for your product and then leave for 2 weeks and they look like a sign up and disengaged user, but really they're just on their honeymoon. So what I did was create this matrix like you see here with our agency partners and our customers and our prospects. And I did user interviews with all of them. If there's one tactical thing for you to take away today, go talk to your prospects, go talk to your users, because you'll get so much more rich information out of them than you will just by looking at data. You have to combine the quantitative research and the qualitative research to really get the full picture. Perfect example of this, I do weekly or multiple user interviews per week. I had someone from France actually a couple weeks ago. I asked them, how would you find a social media course in HubSpot Academy? I just had them kind of show me their screen on Zoom and show me what they would do. So if you can imagine, like typical online course provider has filters, has a search bar, lots of ways they could have just scrolled down. They Control F, type the word social, and it highlights the social media course in HubSpot Academy. We would have never known that control find was the way you would find social media in the course, but unless we talked to them and actually watched them do that. And my designer is sitting on the call, kind of like fly on the wall, and I'm like, I need to buy her a donut because that really probably frustrated the heck out of her. So know your users like a friend, build personas, really deep, rich personas about your team, and then balance that quantitative and qualitative research. User interviews are really powerful for bringing a lot of rich sort of insights, but you can't rely just on user interviews. You need them with the quantitative data too. So now we had an idea of who we were talking to. When we did those user interviews, we saw this clear kind of dichotomy between two groups. There were the people who were focused on the certification you would get after taking the course. Our customers and partners generally wanted to prove their knowledge, show that they had attained some level of knowledge. We had hiring managers at our customers who would onboard new employees, and they would say, take the certification, show me once you got it. Good, you're onboarded. And then we had And there were other people like freelancers and students and job seekers. They all were very focused on the credential, the badge, the certification. But those weren't really ones I was focused on. As an acquisition channel, I needed like marketing managers, VPs of marketing, like people who might buy software sometime in the next 90 to 100 days. And they didn't care about the credential at all. They cared about the course. They wanted to stay up to date on the latest digital marketing tactics. And so we realized the way they were talking about HubSpot Academy, they were talking about the courses, not the certifications. So while we had marketed HubSpot Academy as a certification program this whole time, HubSpot certification program, we really needed to be marketing it as an online course provider. And that positioning switch, basically positioning HubSpot Academy for a different part of the flywheel, really dramatically changed the amount of people we could get. Because if you think about it, and you go back to thinking about how you can influence perception through your customers, I needed those users to be able to tell their friends, HubSpot has an online course provider. I didn't want them to say HubSpot has a certification program, because HubSpot having an online course provider sounds applicable to so many more people. It's so much more broad than HubSpot has a certification program. Because that's more like, why would you get a scuba diving license if you don't know what scuba diving is, right? Like, you don't want a certification unless you're an actual HubSpot user, or you need to show that on your resume. You need some credential to show that you've learned it. For the prospects, for HubSpot as an acquisition channel, we really leaned into it as a course provider. The trick there is to watch for the full flywheel effects, because when we did that, we also attracted a lot of students, a lot of freelancers, people who generally were like happy to have in the ecosystem, love students. We have 1,000 professors now teaching HubSpot Academy courses in their universities, but they don't necessarily buy software, immediately. Or they don't buy software within the next 3 to 6 months. So, they kind of weigh and balance our MRR per sign-up. And segmenting the flywheel by each stage and kind of positioning depending on which stage you're bringing people into or communicating people with was key. So at this point, we know who we're talking about or who we're talking to, and we know how to talk to them, right? It's time to put some gasoline on the fire. And so we were looking for growth levers. We're all sitting around a table, drinking scotch, smoking cigars. No, I'm just kidding. And we're thinking, how do we grow this thing fast? We have somehow achieved product market fit. Our users basically told us. They said, we want this course in Spanish and Portuguese. They said, we want more advanced topics. You teach one class on SEO in the inbound marketing course. We want an entire course on SEO. So we did both of those things. One of them worked out well, one of them worked out not so well. I'm going to start with the not so well one. We told ourselves that we were localizing the inbound certification for LATAM. And what we were really doing was translating it. We ran it through a vendor. We added the transcriptions and SRT files to the videos, so they were subtitled. We had our internal marketers for that region check it. Not very good QA people because they already knew all the answers to the course, to the certification exam. And what we learned was that these prospects, these users, they're super emotionally engaged. They're doing this for their career. I like to think about HubSpot Academy like it's a B2C product within a B2B product because they're doing this for their career. This isn't their marketing automation software that they're worried about. This is I want to put food on my table. I need that promotion. I want to get my kids to camp this year. They're serious about this stuff. And so when the test question doesn't match up in wording with the course video, they're annoyed. They're like, dude, I should have the certification, but because you didn't translate it perfectly, I don't. So all hell breaks loose. Tons of support tickets. We're trying to fix this. We can't roll it back. You can't release a new language to thousands of people. We had 80,000 people in LATAM and on our database at that point. And they're all excited about taking this course and they're all failing it. Pass rates are significantly lower than in English. And so we have to just keep working at it. We had to go in and modify, tweak videos, tweak transcriptions. And what we learned was that there's this kind of matrix for growth levers, how easy they are to test. We really should have released that to beta to 20 people in Portuguese because we would have definitely learned a lot more than if we just had our internal marketers take it and pass it. And then there ease to rolls back, ease to roll back. How difficult is it to roll this thing back if it doesn't work out? So that was languages. The other one that our users were asking for were topics, like I said. And that generally worked out well. It took a lot longer to create those courses, like twice as long. We'd have to bring in experts to teach them. We released an email marketing course, we released a content marketing course. We brought in like our postmaster email product VP to teach the email deliverability class, like really like detailed, advanced email marketing tactics. And that worked out well. We, drove a ton of demand. We grew the footprint of HubSpot Academy for search engines, and so we were able to rank for email marketing training, content marketing training. Still do. So with growth levers, keep in mind which ones are easy to roll back and test, build your MVPs, etc. So at the end of the day, HubSpot Academy is a platform, right? It's a content platform. I create an app, or I shouldn't say I create an app. My team creates an app. My engineers and my designers worry about this application, and it's kind of like the stage. People don't come to the show for the stage. They come for the show. The content is the product in this case, not the application where you see the content. And so when we build new features, we have this decision to make. Do we build tools for the content creators to bring that experience into the course? Or do we build that experience directly into the course and kind of make it centralized? And that's tricky. So one example of a feature like that is practical exercises. If you think about what an online course is made of, it's made of video assets, quiz assets, text assets. And so we created this new asset type called practical exercises. And HubSpot had come out with all these free tools, really had dove heavily into freemium strategy. And so we thought, okay, if we can get all of our course takers to apply what they're learning in the free tools, then we'll introduce them to the free tools. Maybe they'll start using them. Maybe they'll upgrade one day. But really, they'll be able to apply. They'll reach a higher level of learning because they'll be able to apply what they're learning. It made sense. 90% of the time, this works out. The content creator writes up, here, go do this thing in HubSpot. They enter an event to flag when the user has finished it. So say they want the user to go create an email and send it. They say, go create an email and send it. And then they plug in the event, user sent email. And then once they fire that event, it checks off as complete. Great. We took them into the application, into the email application, brought them back to HubSpot Academy, and they've officially done their practical exercise. 5% of the time, this totally doesn't work at all. Whether that email application is in beta and it's firing different events for some reason, or some language doesn't have the practical exercise but another one does. There's all these use cases that we didn't expect, and that's generally true with platform features. You have this much longer feedback cycle between your MVP of the tools and the way those content creators use the tools to create their own MVP, right? So with platform thinking, I think my advice is to keep in mind that while you get awesome scale, you can obviously create a lot more practical exercises with a team of content creators doing it than us doing it centrally. And you get a lot more creativity because they know the learning outcomes of those courses. They know exactly what they want to achieve with those courses. You also lose some control and you lose some agility because it takes a lot longer to get that feedback loop back from that second level of users. We think of our content creators as users. We think of their learners as users too. And so since then, we've learned with any platform features, we need to really implement a lot of guardrails, a lot of training, make sure the content creators are staying up to date on which events they're using in those practical exercises, things like that. And finally, there are new superheroes at SaaS companies called friction fighters. And we use the flywheel to measure our impact on HubSpot. HubSpot Academy is a flywheel in itself. HubSpot is a bigger flywheel in itself, and they help turn each other, if you think of it. And anything that improves the force of the flywheel, gets it to turn clockwise, good. Anything that slows down that force, any friction, bad. So it's not all just about removing friction. It's about improving force too, increasing the total amount. That's what those growth levers are for, getting more demand, speeding up the flywheel too. And so we're actually measuring force and friction at each stage of the flywheel and how we can remove friction and add force. And that's been super powerful. And a couple of cool things have happened since we've equalized, since HubSpot Academy has become more or less 50% acquisition, 50% free Academy users using free tools, and 50% customers and partners learning HubSpot, learning how to sell HubSpot, etc. We even have developer courses in there now. Teaching people how to build on HubSpot. We have our HR team, or our people ops team, has added courses for attracting new employees to HubSpot. It's really a platform for any team at HubSpot to create online education to achieve their goals. But some cool things have happened. So for one, we've learned that our product team uses HubSpot Academy courses as kind of a litmus test for the market. We released an Instagram marketing course that got 2,000 signups in the first day, because Instagram is this kind of mystical topic right now. Nobody really nails it. And that really told our product group who is creating the Instagram tools in HubSpot. HubSpot has a whole set of social tools. Instagram is one social network that it supports, to really focus in on that. There's a lot of demand for Instagram marketing. So it takes a lot less time to create a course than it does to create a feature in HubSpot. So they use us as this kind of listening device in the market for what is there a lot of demand on? What are people having challenges with? If they're willing to go sign up for a 4-hour course and learn, then they probably have a pretty significant challenge in that space. The other thing, actually, I'm blanking on the other thing. So to conclude, remember, build empathy with your users. Develop those rich personas. They do so much for your product and for your team, for your growth team, to have a clear picture of who they're working towards, because they're all having very different experiences with your product. Adapt your positioning to the audience that you're targeting. Identify growth levers, but remember how easy they are to pull back and to roll back and build MVPs of. Build a platform, but again, keep in mind the additional complexities of multi-level feedback. And then always be fighting friction and growing force. Thank you. And actually, since I'm in the business of knowledge transfer, I have a little homework. If you can, tweet me one way you'll start or continue to inject some humanity into your product-led growth strategy, because I'm always learning new ways, and I want to learn from you as well.
Thank you, Eric. We're going to do things a little differently, so you can face the audience with their questions. If you have any questions, now's a great time to enter them. But the first one here is we have I find personas get created and get forgotten. How do you keep personas in people's minds, especially when they have the detail you give them?
Every time a new team member joins our team, we have them go do those user interviews and try to sort of seek out ways that they can find artifacts of that persona in those user interviews. Not only is it a really good onboarding tool for bringing someone into the team, getting them to know who they're working for, but it also allows them to then present this very fresh perspective to the team, what they've learned in those user interviews. So we now do that with every new team member. We say, okay, go interview 20 people, find a broad mix, and tell us, if you've found any adaptations to our personas that you can, talk to us about and teach us about.
This is a side question. Just because I had a company that did this, are there any techniques you use to keep those personas that you do have top of mind?
We review them periodically. I think it's expected when you kind of join the team, you really learn them deeply, and then we talk about them, in meetings. What would Marketing Mary, think about this? And we just try to keep it, a part of the dialogue going on.
Cool. Next question is, I flipped, so I'm going to go with what I started. What is a product owner versus a product manager in your company? So
a product owner actually comes from the Scrum world. It's in my opinion, it's a little bit more responsible for the farther reaching business impact, right? So I'm not just worried about people signing up for HubSpot Academy and that experience. I'm worried about the MRR per sign up and the way they monetize and the way they, retain and experience HubSpot. So for us, it's a little bit farther reaching and a little bit more business oriented on business impact than our product managers, which are, very zeroed in on does this tool do what this tool needs to do for the user?
Cool. A very specific question. How did you fix the Portuguese translation and how long did that take?
Well, we really like swarmed on it when it was happening because obviously support tickets are no good when there are thousands of people going through, and your support team is supposed to be working on like, real stuff, not content issues that we created for them. But basically, we had to, have our regional marketers who speak Portuguese go through the course in a very detailed fashion. We took all the feedback that we were getting in those support tickets, made sure we fixed them. Fortunately, like I said, these users are super emotionally engaged and they want the course to be good. So they'd tell us, they'd say, okay, you have a typo here. You're using like the Brazilian version of Portuguese here and the rest is in, a different version of Portuguese. So we learned a lot from our users and we listened to them. And that's part of the DNA at HubSpot, is to really listen and have your ear to the ground with what your users are saying.
Okay, and we have time for, I think, one more question. When does support end and Academy begin?
We think about it like proactive and reactive. Academy is proactive. When you call into support, you tend to have an issue that you want to be solved within like 2 minutes of calling support. So that's reactive. I'm having a problem now. I'm either having a technical problem or a creative problem, and I need a human to help me out with it. Academy users, if they proactively learn, which we try to get them to use HubSpot Academy, we even discount things like onboarding if they get certified before they sign on. Then we find that they submit a lot less support tickets. One, they know where to go to learn stuff. Two, they're just more proactively self-educating themselves about the platform. So we can, proactively avoid support tickets if we get them into Academy first. So that's the proactive versus reactive game.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.